Hey loves, it's Chellbee. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Chellbee, the blogger behind Chellbee.com. I'm so glad to be back. I hope you guys are having an amazing week and enjoying this beautiful weather. Today I'm going to be sharing which book I think in the Bible you should start with first. So I know a lot of you have found this channel because you're a beginner and you're starting out in your Bible study routine or journey, and so I thought it'd be fun to just share what book I think is a great place to start if you're at the beginning of your journey. If you're a beginner, I think the book of Matthew is a great place to start with reading the Bible. It's one of my favorite books that I've read so far. It's so funny because I can remember I was probably maybe 11 years old and we went to a visiting church, and the pastor, he pretty much spent like a few minutes after church just talking to everybody, and when he approached me, he told me that I should read the book of Matthew. So that was roughly 18 years ago, and now that I've finally read the book of Matthew, I can definitely understand why that was his recommendation. And it's so funny that that stuck with me for so long. Like I never forgot I never forgot that moment where he told me that I should read the book of Matthew, and it always stuck with me that it was something that I wanted to do. So when I finally read it last year in 2017, I was like so proud of myself. I was so glad to like finally have accomplished it, even though it took years and years later. I was just really thankful because to me it gave me somewhere to start, because I didn't know where to start when I decided I wanted to study the Bible. I had no clue where to start, but because that word had been spoken to me so long ago, that's where I gravitated to. And that still would be my recommendation for anyone else, is to start with the book of Matthew. I just feel like the book of Matthew is just kind of like it's one of those books where you really get to very quickly find out who Christ is. And if you're a Christian, that's just so important, beginning to even understand like who he is, what he believed in, and kind of the way his relationship developed with the disciples and all that stuff is so important. It's just one of those books where there's a lot of great stories. It's very easy to read, and I do have the English Standard Version, so I'm sure that makes a difference. It does make a difference for me. Having a version I can read is so important. But Matthew is one of those books that is just filled with insightful dialogues and interesting parables, which Jesus does. He speaks in parables a lot, so it can be kind of interesting / difficult at times, so you do have to be patient. That's why I definitely would recommend not reading more than one verse at a time, especially if you're just now beginning. Like, reading one verse in Matthew a day is probably going to be the best approach to reading that book, especially if you're a beginner. I enjoyed the story along the way while I was reading Matthew's, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes because pregnancy brain is real. So I did enjoy the stories. I think the dialogue is great, and the parables teach you some very fundamental lessons. Matthew's really exemplified to me who Christ was and who he is, and after I read it, it inspired me to continue to read, which I think is really important. Of course, you also have to be motivated and dedicated to being consistent with your Bible reading, and no one can force you to be. Like, you yourself have to be self-motivated to do that. But I think when you're starting out, if you start off with a book that's strong and has a lot of stories that are relatable to even what you're going through, or even what's happening in the world today, it makes you so much more likely to continue to read the Bible, is what I would say. And I feel like Matthew's is definitely one of those books where you'll want to reread it, you know. I walk away from it knowing that, like, when you read it in the future, you're gonna take even more lessons away. It's just so filled with lessons and great stories, and it's one of those pieces that you can really have a great conversation around, especially if you have other friends that are on this journey with you. It's one of those things where you guys can really kind of challenge yourself to come together and have conversations about what you're reading and what you took away, and you guys can really learn lessons from each other, especially if you have that support system so where you guys can read that book together. I think it's a great opportunity to really grow. What I will say is, even though Matthew's was one of the first books that I read, there were still so many lessons that I related to, even though I didn't know much about, what else was in the Bible at that time. I still was able to relate to the lessons that were shared and really use them to apply in my own life and to grow in my spiritual journey. And so I think that's so important. Having and reading a book that inspires you to grow in your journey and grow in your faith is really important, which actually leads me to my last point, which is I am working on my technically my third book. Anyways, I'm working on what is my second devotional, and it's called Cherishing His Essence, and it's actually all based around exactly what I was saying today and in the video. It's just the importance of reading those foundational books. And for me thus far, and what I've read thus far, I feel like Matthew, John, and Luke are just so foundational and fundamental to getting a better understanding to who Christ is. Yes, of course, like the whole New Testament, speaks to who he is and is important to, understanding the fullness of the story. But when you're a beginner and you just need somewhere to start, or maybe you're recommitting and you need that reminder, I feel like those three books have been so amazing for me. They've taught me so much about the kind of person I should be striving to be and how being a Christian relates to my everyday life. So I really wanted to create a book, a devotional that spoke to that. So it's going to be a 45-day devotional that also is coupled with a 90-day reading plan, prompted journal, and Bible journal. Of course, you guys know I love to Bible journal, so of course I can't do anything without including that. So I'm really excited to share that. I would say by the time this video comes out, it should at least be in pre-sale, as long as I'm able to stay on track with baby and with working. So I will definitely drop the link below to the pre-sale or sales page for Cherishing His Essence, in case you want to grab your copy and use it to get started with reading Matthew, John, and Luke. Like I said, it's going to be a 90-day reading plan. So 90 days to read these three books. It's gonna be a challenge because you do want to stay consistent so that you can finish, but like I've said before, it takes 21 days to start and create habits. So if you can at least pare down and go hard for the first 21 days, you are pretty much guaranteed to stay on track and building the habit that you're going to read the Bible daily and be consistent in your journaling and reflection and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And don't forget to hit the like button, especially if you enjoyed today's content. And I'm going to see you guys soon. Yeah, I'm going to see you guys soon. All right, bye.